All right, we are going to multiply matrices by hand, which is a little bit of a harder task than what you signed up for today, but it's not bad. If you're good at plugging and chugging numbers, you will do great with matrix multiplication. You will also learn how to do this on your TI-84. I should have a video up. If I do not, it's not a personal video, it's just one where there's a TI-84 video. All right, let's look at example 1. Our essential question is, can you multiply matrices? The first thing we need to see is that this is a 2. Sorry, I don't have my actual Apple Pen today, so I'm struggling here. This is a 2 by 2 matrix, and we are multiplying it. Remember, it's rows by columns. We're multiplying it by a 2 by 1. So when I multiply these, I know that if the inside numbers match, the outside numbers are what it's going to be. So this is actually going to equal a 2 by 1, which again, it's rows by columns, and this is going to equal rows by columns. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at the row 1 by column 1. Rows by columns. So I'm going to write that up here. It is rows by columns, and remember RC, I always think of remote control. And what we are doing is I call it plugging and chugging numbers. So we're taking this first one going to the left, 1 and 3. And what we are doing is we are multiplying 1 and 3, which is 1. Well, that's not good. 1 times 3, and we are adding it to -1 and 2. -1 and 2. And again, it's always rows. So the first matrix will always be rows, and it's rows by columns. Now, I'm going to erase this because I made a mess here. And, well, it's not all erasing, but that's fine. So we're going to now use this column, and I'm going to do this one in black so you can see it. So I'm going to take 2 times 3, and I'm going to write this out so you can see, and I'm adding it to 5 times 2. So we obviously have to get an answer here. So if I was to solve, we know it's going to be a 2 by 1. So when I solve, I have 3 minus 2, which is 1, and 6 plus 10, which is 16. All right, so that's a row by column. So number 2, let's look at this one. We always want to check first to see if we can actually multiply them. So let's check. I know that this is rows by columns, 2 by 1, and I'm multiplying it by, well, this is a 2 by 2. So remember that if the two inner numbers do not match, this cannot multiply. And if you put this in on your calculator, you will get an error. It will say error. Now, you can't write error on your paper. You actually have to have knowledge of why this cannot multiply. So let's look at the next one. The next one looks a little bit longer, and that is okay. But I'm going to plug and chug numbers, so hopefully you can keep up. So let's go ahead and look. This is a 3 by 2, and we are multiplying it with a 2 by 3. These inner numbers match, and these outer numbers are what's going to be our answer. So I know when I multiply this crazy mess, I am going to have a 3 by 3. Now, I set it up. I set it up just like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to make a mess on our paper. We're going to plug and chug numbers, and we're going to do this together. So let's start. I'm going to take row by column. So notice when I have row 1, column 1, that's going to go in row 1, column 1. So let's multiply. I'm going to actually show you 0 times 1 is 0. 2 times -2 is -4. 0 and -4 is -4. Now, I'm still on row 1, column 2. So I'm still on row 1 here, but now I'm going to column 2. So when I'm working on row 1, column 2, doesn't it make sense that I would put it right here at row 1, column 2? And again, I'm going to plug in check. I love when there's zeros, so it makes it so nice. 0 and negative 5 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 0 is 0. Moving on. Now I'm headed to row 1, column 3, which makes sense because this is where I'm putting my answer. This place right here is row 1, column 3. Plug and chug some numbers. And again, I'm just multiplying in my head. 0 and 4 is 0. 2 and negative 6 is negative 12. 0 and negative 12 is negative 12. If you have to write it all out like I did in example 1, please do that. So now we're going to plug and chug more numbers. So I'm moving to row 2. Row 2, column 1. I'm kind of staying color-coded for you. So that's going to go in row 2, column 1, which makes sense. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. When I add negative 2 and negative 8, I get, whoops, I'm in highlighter. Let me erase that. I get negative 10. And moving on to row 2, column 2. So this column 2 is still highlighted blue, which makes sense. It's going right in row 2, column 2. Negative 2 times negative 5 is 10. 4 times 0 is 0. 10 plus 0 is 10. Moving on. Row 2, column 3, which will go in row 2, column 3, right here. Plug and chug some numbers. Let's go. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24, which gives me a negative 32. So we've done row 1, we've done row 2, and now I'm going to move on to row 3. And we're doing row 3, column 1. 3 times 1, 3. 1 times negative 2, negative 2. 3 and negative 2 is 1. Moving on. Row 3, column 2. 3 times negative 5, negative 15. 1 times 0, 0. Add those together. I get negative 15. And last space, I have row, sorry, that was the vowel. Row 3, column 3. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. 12 added to negative 6 is positive 6. So my answer is right here. It is a 3 by 3 matrix, and the answer is negative 4, 0, negative 12, negative 10, 10, and negative 32, 1, negative 15, and 6. Great job.